Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so let's talk about the second round of the NBA draft today. I'm thrilled because I'm a Laker fan and I got the player that I wanted the most in the second round. Personally, didn't quite get a center, which I think a lot of Laker Nation may not be happy with, but for me, this was the player that I thought probably was the best project that I had scouted, maybe in the entire draft. Maybe for me. Favorite project, as in player that can't help me right now, but if I just stash him somewhere and have him work on drills, have him work on his game for a period of time, he could turn into something big. This was my favorite project in the whole draft, to be honest. I had no idea the Lakers had any chance of getting him, so to say that I'm thrilled is exactly what it is. But let's get through the second round, and look, half of these players that were drafted, I have to say I didn't do a homework on a lot of these guys, especially in the second half of the draft. I don't know who some of these people are. I think some of the guys that were drafted were strong reaches, maybe like players that some of these scouts just loved, even though they weren't really that touted. You got a nice undrafted list of players that are likely getting signed right now. If I know what I'm talking about, there's probably been some sightings that I don't even know about. But guys getting called to camp and stuff like that. It's a good sound number of those people. And a lot of guys went back to school as well, so it kind of ate away at what the second half of the draft was. But this is what we're talking about, man. The first pick in the second round, the 31st pick, was a Suns pick. If they were traded, I'm kind of just going to say the team that they were traded to. I don't want the confusion because like most of these picks were traded, believe it or not. So the Suns took Rasheer Fleming, and I really love what the Suns did, man. They put so much size on their team over the last 2 days. I can't even tell you how pleased they should be getting Rasheer Fleming in the second round, and you couple that with the fact that they were able to get a center from the Charlotte Hornets. They were able to get Mark Williams, who we know just broke out last year, but also is expected to be hurt a good portion of the time, failed his physical with the Lakers, etc. So they were able to put him on the team. And then, of course, they were able to get what's homie's name? Oh, it's up here. Good. They got it all on one sheet here. It was Kamen Malawach. Yes, Kamen Malawach also went to the Suns. So I just think the Suns hit the draft out of the park. They were really a big winner for me, when you consider that they were able to get all three of those bigs. And it was a source of need for them. They had a bunch of guards, clearly, all the 2 guards in the world, but now they have size, lots of it. And then you couple that with the defensive of Rasheer Fleming, the catch and shoot ability of Rasheer Fleming. You talk about Ryan Dunn, you talk about the stuff they drafted last year as well. It's just a lot of good going on in Phoenix that you didn't expect to see just a week ago when they traded for Jalen Green. So the Suns look like a very capable trade partner right now. And they picked up a lot of assets, things that you didn't think they would be able to get. They found some assets, man. So at this point, I think the Suns' future looks so much brighter than I ever thought it would, just off of how they handled the draft. So kudos to them for finding a way. They found a way, man. This is a good team, and I don't think they make the playoffs next year. And of course, they don't have their picks going forward, but they have so much more flexibility. Because they've been picking up stuff that's just a lot more valuable than maybe what they thought it would be. So, yeah, kudos to the Suns for Rasheer Fleming there at 31. Noah Penda, the Magic traded up to get Noah Penda from the Celtics. I like that a lot, of course. You guys know I like Noah Penda. I did a little homework on him. I think this is great value for him. I think the Magic have been filling up a lot of positions. I got to take a look at what their front court situation looks like at the center position. I'm not really sure how it's looking right now, but I do love what they've done with the forward position. I do love that they brought in some shooting, of course. I like what they did in the draft as a whole. Getting Noah Penda, also finding a way to get homie's son, what's his name? Jace Richardson. I thought that was a really good pickup for the Magic. So I think they've done a great job with this draft as a whole. We'll have to see what else they did in the second round, if anything, but so far, very good. Noah Penda, I thought that was a worthy player to trade up for. I know they gave up a lot of picks. They gave up a lot to get Noah. And I think they're going to be happy they got him. To be honest with you, especially considering what they did last year in the draft, getting a small forward. Noah Pinda just gives them depth at that position, and some defense, a ball handler at that position. Not really a shooter, but somebody who's going to drive at the rim, get to the line a lot. So I like Noah. I saw what I needed to see to have faith in him. I think he's going to make it in the NBA. The Hornets were able to take Zion James with the 33rd pick. I thought that was a little high for Zion based on what it is I've been hearing about him, but I think they got a really nice defensive player at that guard spot. I don't think I did enough homework on him to really judge him as well as I'd like to, but I've heard a lot of good things. Him coming out of Duke, they were obviously a very good team to say the least. And so, you like the continued compounding concern with finding defense for the Hornets. I think they addressed that in the second round with both of these picks back to back. So Zion James, all things considered, based on what I understand, is a very good player for the Hornets to have to add to their team of shooters. They're trying to change the culture there in Charlotte. I got a feeling more changes are coming in Charlotte. They're going to be shaving some stuff out of there that maybe people don't expect to move. I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from LaMelo. I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from Bridges. It's just a culture change that you can clearly see is coming right now. So that's really what it is. I think the Hornets did great with that one. And then at 34, they got Ryan Kalkbrenner, a player that the Lakers were really rumored to want. But I knew we wouldn't be able to get him. He wasn't going to be around for long because the Hornets would need a center. And so we talked about that this morning when I talked about the second round. I predicted they would take Ryan Kalkbrenner. They had let too many centers off the board. Like we said, they traded away Mark, passed up on some centers, Common, so at this point it would be irresponsible for them not to target a center with the 34th pick. And so Ryan Kalkbrenner is a fantastic shot blocker, and I think they'll be very happy to have him as well. So they did good overall. Zion James, Ryan Kalkbrenner, who else did they get? Liam McNeely, shooter. Obviously, with the 4th overall pick, Con Knipple, I thought that was safe. Healthy pick. Good culture setter. Shooters. A winner, Con Knipple. He has some winning intangibles that you cannot teach. A certain fire about him. I think the Hornets are going to turn into a playoff team soon enough with what it is they've been putting together for the last couple of years, man. I really do. Con Knipple's the type of winner. You put him next to Brandon Miller. You got a serious bunch of guys down there that can shoot the rock. I think they may overshoot it. They got a lot of three-point shooting players on the team, so they may try to be a poor man's Boston type team next year if they don't balance it out with a bit more driving at the rim. Then maybe what the sum of what they have would ultimately do naturally. We'll see. But I have a feeling they're going to be an overshooting type of team. It's a weird feeling. So we'll see what happens with the Hornets. I like what they're putting together, but maybe they can turn the corner in an easy East, especially this year with so many teams falling off. So next up in the second round, we're talking about the 76ers, and I thought getting Johnny Broome was great for them. Johnny Broome, a player out of Auburn. I don't remember doing too much homework on Johnny, but I heard wonderful things about Johnny. I wasn't surprised to see him go this high in the second round. If I'm not mistaken, he's a 4-year guy, and that is why he fell to the second round. But similar to Nick Clifford, likely could help a team right away, likely had less holes than some of the other guys who were a little younger than him, and unfortunately you fall. But this is a good space for a player like that because, of course, the 76ers got so much win now guys, to say the least. Good news from what I understand on Joel Embiid. He's expected to be available for camp, which is crazy given the surgeries and all the different stuff that's been said about him for the last year. But it looks like he's going to start the season healthy. So you look out for the 76ers if he can get back to who he was. Obviously, that changes the dynamic of their team, especially when you consider what they did in the first round as well, adding VJ Edgecombe, fantastic athlete extraordinaire. And I just think they're going to find a lot of easy buckets next year that they didn't find last year. The return of McCain should be extremely good. I think a lot of people have forgot who McCain was before he got hurt. I haven't. That is a legitimate player. In fact, he's a damn star the way he was playing. Now, we got to see how he comes back from the knee, but I'm just listening to some of the murmuring about McCain, people saying they're not sure about McCain. I'm like, listen, well, the biggest mistake in the world is giving up on Jared McCain if you're the Philadelphia 76ers. You do not do that. You don't do that. I promise you. I want people to think about a guy by the name of Michael Jordan, who in his second year went down with a knee injury. Okay? Mike tore his ACL year 2, if I'm not mistaken. He still went on to be Mike. I'm not saying McCain is going on to be Mike, but I am saying he did go down with a knee injury like that in year 1. If you give up on him now, boy, will you live to regret that. So that's what I want to say. I think 76ers look like they could bounce back to have a big-time bounce back year. Big time. And Johnny Broome is going to help with that. So, yeah, they did great. And, of course, the Lakers took Abdul Thero. I made a whole video on that. I could not be more happy with that as a Laker fan. That is exactly what I wanted. Athlete, super strong guy, somebody who's going to come in and be able to defend multiple positions, somebody who's going to dunk the ball repeatedly, somebody who's going to push people around, someone who's going to be excellent on the defensive end. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I honestly couldn't even sum it up. I'll talk for the next hour about Abdul Thero and how happy I am he's a Laker if you allow me to. So I'll just leave it at that. 37, Pistons draft Chaz Lanier. Chaz is a shooter, man, out of Tennessee. I think he's going to help the Pistons a lot. This is a team that has had issues with stretching the floor in previous seasons, not last year, but seasons before that. That was their problem. They had a lot of young talent that was underdeveloped, but high ceiling, and then just no spacing. Over the course of the last couple of years, they've been adding shooting, and I think this is an excellent pick for that exact reason. He's going to hit shots from behind the arc, stretch the floor, provide so much more spacing for a team that, so long as they have that, or a playoff team, they've proven that. And so I think this is an excellent add for the Pistons. Based on what it is I understand about Chaz Lanier, the spacing will be there, and that's really what it's all about. Just continuing to keep that spacing around guys like Duren and Thompson. You know what I mean? Just continuing to put enough role players who can shoot the ball around those guys so that the floor is not clogged for Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, who also doesn't really shoot like that. Holland, who's a fair shooter, but not really. You know what I mean? They have a lot of needs for keeping spacers on the floor. So I thought this was an excellent pick based on Chaz being a pure shooter. 38, the Pacers from the Spurs. This is a Pacers pick. Took Cam Jones. Excellent decision taking Cam Jones for the Pacers. Given the fact that they are a team that doesn't turn the ball over very much with the superstar now going down with the Achilles, unfortunately, in Game 7. You're picking up another ball-handling big guard who's known for not turning the ball over. You hope he can somewhat, in some ways, continue you on the path of being an excellent team taking care of the basketball in his absence. So, it's so unfortunate to watch him go down, man. And I think this draft pick had everything to do with trying to simulate his absence, and ultimately put players on your team that can continue to stay in that way of doing things. Cam Jones is an excellent offensive player, can shoot the ball some, drive at the rim, careful basketball player. Nothing spectacular, but a big ball handler who is known for taking care of the basketball. So I don't doubt that he can help them too. I believe I don't know if he's a 4-year guy, but he seemed like he's a bit more developed, so he might have been a 3-year guy or something like that. I don't remember necessarily, but I get the feeling that Cam Jones is somebody that can get on the floor next year and be a healthy ball handler for the Pacers. A big guy that could possibly play about 3 positions. Very good, sound decision taking him for the Pacers. Elijah Martin with the 39th pick goes to the Raptors. I am not familiar. I'm just going to be honest with you. He's one of the guys I did zero homework on. I just don't know. So that's what I have to say. The Wizards, with 40, traded their pick to the Pelicans. This is going to New Orleans. And they drafted Micah Peavy out of Georgetown. I heard great things about Micah Peavy. I think the Pelicans have some good talent they've drafted in this draft. Now, how they went about getting all of the talent that they got in this draft may not have been the way I would have gotten it, but just in a nutshell, if you tell me we're walking away with Micah Peavy, Derek Queen, and Jeremiah Fears, I say you did great. So we already know the Derek Queen acquisition gave the Hawks one of the best picks next year possible, which is not a good decision. But I like the idea of having Derek Queen on the team in the event that they try to do a rebuild. I like the idea of them having Jeremiah Fears in the event that they're trying to make a rebuild happen. And I like the idea of having Micah Peavy based on what others have said about him. He sounds like somebody who's a sound basketball player on both sides of the floor. So this seems like a good pick based on what I've understood to be. All right, the next team up was the Suns. They got the pick from the Warriors at 41. They took Kobe Bryant out of Kentucky, one of the best shooters, one of the best movement shooters in this draft. I don't quite understand this particular pick only because the Suns have so many guards. So that's the only reason why. I think this is a nice player. I just don't know if I like this place he got drafted to. When you're talking about the Suns, clearly they're overloaded on shooting guards. They're overloaded on this type of player. So will there be any minutes for Kobe Bryant in the near future? I would say God no. God no. Absolutely. There's no room. There's nothing. I personally thought they needed more of a point guard per se. Not necessarily a guy who's looking to jack shots at the 3-2 spot. It says guard forward. I don't understand him to be a shooter. A passer in any way. 1 assist per game. More of a 3-point guy. 49% from behind the arc. One of the best shooters in this draft. 3-point identity. Is that what Phoenix needed? Based on the logjam of shooters, guards that are likely going to need like 35 and 40 minutes a night? Kobe Bryant is not going to see many minutes out there. And he's going to be in the G League developing. And in the event they find some possible way to move on from the plethora of shooting guards that they have, somewhere down the road, Kobe Bryant will play for the Phoenix Suns. My humble opinion, that day ain't coming. He's likely going to be on another team in 2 years before ever seeing the floor for the Phoenix Suns. I don't see a path to them opening up for him. Just don't. I could be wrong, but their roster did not need another guard. The Kings, another underrated acquisition for the Kings. They drafted Maxime Renaud, one of my favorite players in this draft. That he fell to 42 just speaks to how many teams are stupid out here. That dude should absolutely have not fallen to 42. I'm just being honest. There are dudes in the second round that I do not like nearly a fourth as much as him. He is good. The Kings did good, man. I heard people say that they didn't like what the Kings did because they didn't know where the Kings were going. The Kings are a team that could blow up any minute. So why would they trade up to get a guy like Nick Clifford, who's a 4-year guy? Nick Clifford is a interchangeable piece. Okay? And the idea that guys are old at 24 years old or 24 years old is stupid to me, in the sense that a guy can play at a high level till he's about 32, 33. And if a guy is interchangeable, then he's a great asset, especially on draft night. So Nick Clifford is a ready-to-go player that the Kings picked up. They traded up to get from the Thunder. He's going to be one of the best rookies next year if he gets an opportunity. And given the fact that they are a potentially rebuilding team, or one rolled ankle away from just triggering a rebuild, you love having Nick Clifford in place. And I feel the same way about Maxime Renaud, especially getting him at 42 with a second-round pick. This is a really talented, polished center who can score the ball repeatedly from the three, from the baseline. He could potentially turn into a 3-level scorer. He already has fantastic footwork, and I just thought he was extremely polished, one of the more polished players you're going to see in the entire draft. So for me, the Kings did fantastic, and I don't see what the problem is. You're picking up 2 rookies that could either help you right now, or in the event you want to trigger a rebuild, be a part of the rebuild. Isn't that the perfect way to approach your situation when you're in the Kings spot? when you don't really know where you're going to be, you don't know who's all going to be on your team. You could potentially go forward with this team, or you could blow it up. I mean, you want a little bit of both, and I think that's what they picked up. So I don't understand the King slander as it pertains to this draft. I think they did fantastic. They were one of the winners in this draft, if you ask me. I just don't get what the problem is. Next up, the Wizards took another player that I loved a lot at 43, Jameer Watkins. I think this is a fantastic pickup for the Wizards. I still don't understand why they didn't want athleticism in this draft. They did a lot of good things on the basketball floor, but they did not approach bringing themselves enough athleticism. So that was my thing. But Jameer Watkins is an excellent two-way player. He's going to be a lockdown defender, a different approach to what they've had already on their team based on what it is they did in the draft and what it is they've had. I don't see a lot of lockdowns on this team. Jameer Watkins is going to be a lockdown. And I really, really love this pick. He can also stretch the floor some. He looks two-way to me. He has a high ceiling based on him being a second-round guy. I think they did pretty good. Getting Trey Johnson is a good thing for, if you listen to most basketball fans, it's a great thing. I'm not a Trey Johnson guy, but I still value him enough to say this is a great draft pick. What else the Wizards do? They also got Will Wiley. I think Will Wiley's ceiling is pretty high. I'm not in love with the fit necessarily. I think Will Wiley's going to have to work a lot to get to a point where he's an NBA player, but I think 3 or 4 years from now he can be in a good space to really show what he can do, and he's a really nice scorer, and I think they're going to have significantly more efficient scoring with the Wizards this year than what they've known for, and they should want that given how inefficient their team was as a whole last year shooting the ball. It was like they were awful. They bricked everything. That changes when you bring in what they brought in this draft, so I like that, and he adds to that quite a bit. Jameer Watkins is going to be a lockdown. He's going to help a lot off the bench. The Thunder at 44 took Brooks Barnhizer. I have never heard of Brooks Barnhizer in my life. I have no idea who that is. But the champs took him. They rarely strike out, so I'd imagine they know what they're doing. So that's all I can say. At 45, the Bulls draft Rocco Zikarsky. That was a pick that was initially with the Lakers. No, how does this work? The Bulls traded that pick to us. We traded it to the Wolves to move up to 36. So it ended up being a Wolf. Rocco Zikarsky is a Timberwolf. Very confusing stuff even when you read it. They already dressed their center position last night. I thought they did a really good job of doing that too. Picking up Joanne Beringer. I don't think I'm saying his name correctly, but I don't think the commissioner did either. Joanne Beringer, I don't know. I thought that was a good pickup. It's clear that they're pivoting toward possibly moving on from somebody big. If not right now, they are trying to make themselves deep enough at the center position to be able to do so. That's what I sense here. Maybe they expect to lose Naz Reid. Maybe they're going to move... what's his name? God, my mind is going blank. But maybe they're going to move Julius Randle. Maybe they move a center. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they move a center. But Rocco Zikarsky, from what I understand, is like a 7'2" guy, 7'3" guy. So they're gonna love having him on their bench, and he gets some time to develop since they're not in any rush to do anything with that center position necessarily. You know, it's not like he's ready to step in and replace anybody. Why can't I think of the center on the Timberwolves? Everybody knows who that is. It's just in my mind is not where it needs to be as it pertains to being able to address his name, even though he's a common name from France. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. I think they could potentially be trying to move on from him, but then again, I thought they picked up Joanne Beringer so that he could kind of help him, Rudy Gobert, so that Rudy Gobert could mentor the guy. But Zikarsky just seems like, to me, it's like, okay, we're tripling and quadrupling down on players that play that position. I wonder what this means for Naz Reid. I wonder what this means for Luka Garza. Luka Garza is a guy that should be moving on from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He came into their situation in shape last year, ready to go. Shown me nothing but upside, nothing but promise, and they just never play him. I would love for him to get the hell out of there. I really would. In fact, I want him to come to the Lakers. Luka Garza, come to the Lakers, bro. We got a spot for you. We're gonna be able to utilize you because they keep drafting centers, doubling, tripling down on centers. They already got a bunch of dudes. There's no place for him anymore there. Send him to the Lakers, please. So yeah, that's what I got to say. But Rocco Zakarski looks like he's going to be a promising dude out of Australia, going to the Wolves to boost to their center position, and that's that. The Magic drafted Amari Williams. That's one player I wish I did homework on. I've heard great things about Amari out of Kentucky. He was traded to the Celtics, so Amari Williams is a Celtic. I just didn't do homework on him, but I've heard so much about him that's positive. So I believe he plays the center position as well. 7 foot, 262 pounds, from England. Didn't know that. So yeah, that is what it is, man. They got a center there in Boston, preparing to move on from some guys as well, I'm sure. Next up, the Bucks drafted another player that I really, really like, man, Bogoljub Markovic. Now, it's been said that they're probably going to leave him over in Europe this upcoming year and not bring him over. But I think that would be a mistake. I think Bogoljub is somebody who can come in and significantly boost that Bucks bench right now. I don't need him to wait. I need him to come over and help me right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that decision is overturned. He seemed like a kid who's ready to come to America. He didn't have. It seemed to me he's ready to go. Just based on the interview they had there at the draft, I would bring him over. I think he can help right away. Based on what I saw, the way that he balls, that boy can go. So I think it would be a huge mistake for the Bucks not to use him. Obviously, we're talking about Doc Rivers. You know he don't play no young players. So maybe Bogoljub should probably stay in Europe since you're being coached by Doc Rivers. But if the Bucks grow an understanding that playing young players is the way to go, Bogoljub can help them, man. Can definitely help them. Based on the homework I did, hell yeah. He's probably one of the best players on that damn bench. Just being honest. So I love the pick. The Grizzlies draft Javon Small. Not familiar, unfortunately. I wish I knew who he was, man. I heard his name maybe once or twice, but I just don't know what he can do. Click on the name to give you a little something. No, 6'1", 190. He's a smaller guy, living up to the name. Senior, three-star recruit from East Carolina. Shot 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. It's a limited guy, man. When it comes to the size, that's where I just kind of like I'm out on small dudes. I hate small ball at this point. The Lakers have really pushed me to a space where I just don't believe in small players, and it's unfortunate because there's some fantastic defensive, and offensive guys out there who are smaller. No disrespect to nobody, but I'm out. I'm just like, those who are Laker fans who watched the last several years of the Lakers, you understand where I'm coming from. We're just out on small players. It ain't personal, bro. But this guy sounds like he's a pest on the defensive end. He's a two-way guy, so he might be able to help. It seems like the write-up there is promising. The Memphis Grizzlies have had great success with smaller guys. Obviously, Scottie Pippen Jr. So maybe Javon Small can do some good work, man, out of West Virginia. Give him a chance. But for me, based on what we've been dealing with, I don't want nobody that short. Not unless you like Iverson or something. Just being honest. All right, next up, Tyrese Proctor went to the Cavaliers. I know they were excited about bringing in Proctor. From what I understand, there's already a roster spot available to him. I didn't do homework on this young fella out of Duke. I'm sorry. I should have. His name came up enough for me to have done that. I just didn't do it. This was a part of the draft where I just said I don't care that much. But that doesn't mean that there's not good stuff back here. Don't get it twisted. There is. So, yeah, Tyrese Proctor, we'll know who he is soon enough. The Cavaliers did take him at 49. Kobe Sanders out of Nevada is going to the Clippers by way of the Knicks. I thought it was kind of funny because when he was drafted, Spike Lee standing up clapping for him, and then they had a little laugh about how he was getting traded right after they sat down or something like that. So I thought that was funny. But Kobe Sanders out of Nevada, 6'7", 203 pounds, guard, 15 points a game, 15 assists, Boise State, before moving on to Nevada. No, he played against Boise State and had his biggest game, excuse me. He had 30 points against Boise State. So that's what that says. Honorable mention, he was a selection in his fourth and final season at Poly, 23-24, all Big West honorable mention is what that says. So, sounds like he's a pretty highly touted guy headed to the LA Clippers, and I'm sure we'll see enough of him. His name is Kobe, and he's playing in LA. That's what it is. And then from there, the Knicks were able to get a guy from a Cholet Basket. I believe that's in France. I'm not really certain. But yeah, Mohamed Diawara is who the Knicks were able to get, a 6'8 forward, 200 pounds out of France. Average 6 points, 3 rebounds, 6'9 in shoes, 7'4 wingspan, 9'2 standing reach, long-armed French forwards. We know how the NBA love these dudes. That's like the magic words right there. You got long arms and you're from France and you're a 3. Oh yeah, you coming to the league no matter what. You ain't got to average no more than 6 points, 3 rebounds. You gonna make the league. That's just what the era we're in right now. Hopefully he pans out. You know, he's going to be coming into a Knicks situation. I'm not sure he'll get any minutes anytime soon. I'm sure he'll play in the G League. You know what I mean? And he'll try to make his way in the NBA and be a part of what the Knicks hope to be a useful bench going forward, since they didn't develop anybody over the last several years. But they did fire their coach. Hopefully they'll bring somebody in who's willing to play young players and actually booster and develop a damn bench in New York. Hopefully he can be a part of that. Let's see. After that, at the 52nd pick, the Warriors took Alex Toohey out of Australia. The highlights I saw from Alex Toohey were extremely impressive, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. The Warriors may have got them one with this dude. The Alex Toohey looked extremely polished. Kind of remind me of Bojan Markovic, who went to the Bucks. Alex Toohey looks really good. Really good. And a lot of people like him a lot. I'm actually surprised he fell this far to the Warriors at 52 by way of the Suns. So yeah, Alex Toohey, he's going to help the Warriors. The draft goes into a direction where I've never really known much about John Tonji, but he is headed to the Utah Jazz. It's tough, man, because the Jazz got so many young players. There's absolutely no opportunities that I see for a guy. But maybe he makes it 6'5", 212 pounds out of Wisconsin. 3-star recruit. So he's a junior. Actually, he's a senior. Yeah, a senior. Kind of older. He's a 5-year guy. He's a super senior. Because he played in 2020. Due to the COVID-19 rules, he was able to get his 5th year of eligibility. Yeah, so this is one of those dudes. He's much older. So that's even tougher for him going to a team like Utah. But 6'3", 215 pounds. Shot 38% from the 3, 90% from the free throw line. That's good. That's what you want to hear. Can help the team. It would be great if they trade him to a team that really needs him, because Utah don't need nobody. The Utah Jazz are an entire G League squad right now. They're here to develop a team. That's what they are. Their whole team needs to develop, literally the entire team. So for me, I just don't know how they're going to use a 5-year super senior that's in the second round. I just don't see no way he actually makes the team. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a great spot for a guy in that situation. Pacers draft Talon Peter. This is the first time I've heard Talon Peter's name. I've never heard of him in my entire life. He went to some school named Liberty, First Liberty. First Liberty player drafted in 40 years. That's what that says. I've never heard of Liberty. I've never heard of him. 45% from three-point line, 57% from the field. So that's a great shooting. Had a pair of 33-point games off the bench, so he seems like he has some pop to him. We'll see him in the summer league. You know, that's where a lot of these guys can really make a name for themselves, in the summer league. Talon Peter. I just never seen his name written or heard of him at all, but we'll check him out in the Pacers, man. All right, and the Bulls took Lachlan Obrick out of Leewara Hawks. I have no idea who Lachlan Obrick is either. I think I've seen his name before. He's from Australia as well. 6'9", forward, center combination, 230 pounds. Lachlan Obrick. 8 points, 3 rebounds in 29 games in the NBDL last year. average 11.6 rebounds. And UC Riverside, so he's a California guy. He's going to the Bulls. Lachlan Obrick, 55th pick. That was the Laker pick initially. This is why I wanted us to move up, because it's starting to get to a point where you don't know who these people are. The Grizzlies took a guy by the name of Real Richard out of Florida, traded it to the Warriors. So Real Richard is going to the Warriors along with Alex Tuhey. So the Warriors found a way to get into this draft. Took 3 guys. They took Kobe Brea as well. So, that Kobe Brea went to the Suns. That's right. Forgive me. It's really confusing looking at all of this. But yeah, they were able to get Real Richard. Real Richard out of Florida, 6'4", 206-pound guard. Seems like some pretty solid size for a guard. From Georgia. Averaged 13 points as a senior, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. He's a two-way guy for the most part. Shot 39% from the 3 on 4 attempts. That's good volume there. That was in his first season, and his shooting kind of weaned off a little bit to 35% overall in college throughout the course of the 4 years. Prototypical 3-and-D, they say. So, like a Malik Beasley or Alex Caruso. So a two-way guy, probably ready to help the team right now, given the fact that he's a 4-year guy. Sounds pretty promising. Going to the Warriors. We'll see what he does in the Summer League. Max Shula, I've heard some things about Max Shula. He's going to the Celtics. 6'4", 206-pound guy from Ukraine. He's headed to the Boston Celtics. 39% from 3. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in Ukraine, and played for Eurobasket in 2020. That was 2022. That was the year he shot like that. Atlantic 10 Player of the Year, 2-time Atlantic 10 first team pick. So yeah, this is a pretty good guy, Max Shula. I know I'd heard his name a couple times, and we will see him playing for the Ops Celtics. And the Cavaliers took a gentleman by the name of Salio Niang. I've never heard of him. 6'8", out of Senegal, and he averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds per game in Italy's Serie A. I think that's the league out there in Italy. Measured just under 6'11", so it's a tall dude with shoes on at the combine. And 6'8", 190 is what it says, but 6'11" here with the shoes. So Salio Niang, man, we'll see what he can do headed to the Cavs. And the last but not least, Jaime Mashack. And that player is actually headed to the Grizzlies. And that pick touched a lot of hands, Warriors, Suns, and the Rockets. So yeah, Jaime Mashack out of Tennessee. Not familiar. 6'4", 202-pound guard, senior. Another senior, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 68 defensive. Won the Field of 68 Defensive National Player of the Award last year. So he's a defensive guy, all defense. SEC all defensive team. This is a guy who's going to lock you down, straight up. It's Jaime Mashack. I got a feeling we're going to know who he is before it's over. With that type of stuff attached to your name, you're headed to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies find a way to draft very well in situations like this. I'm not surprised to find that they've taken some type of lockdown at the end of the draft. So that sounds like something very promising. A lot of seniors going to the end of this draft, guys locking in players that they think can help them right away. People are so low on seniors because you always want to swing for the youngsters. The freshmen seem to go high, and the seniors fall to the back of the draft. But the seniors are the ones that usually can help you sooner. So it's a weird kind of dynamic there. But that was the second round, man. Overall, I think this has been a very solid draft. I think I felt a lot better about the second round than I did the first round because it was so much reaching and so much corniness and so much weird stuff. People doing stuff they had no business doing and all different types of stuff. But overall, I thought this was a pretty solid draft for most teams. I really like what the Spurs did. I thought they smashed it. I thought that the Kings were a team that stood out for me. The Heat getting Jaspers Yakushonis at 20 was crazy. Love that. I thought the Hawks did a really good job not reaching and still finding what they needed. I thought the Magic getting Jason Richardson was fantastic. What else, man? Some things that I really liked. Uh, Thomas Sober going to the Thunder. I thought that addressed the only need the Thunder had, which is a backup center, in my opinion. So I thought that was smart. Um, the Mavericks did not mess up the Cooper Flag draft like a lot of people thought they would. Spurs didn't mess up the Dylan Harper draft. People thought they would. And I thought the 76ers made the right choice taking VJ. You just don't want to reach for a guy that's not really sure what he's doing, what he's thinking, probably don't fit. His style of play doesn't fit anyway, so you got to be a little more safe with the Sixers. So if it doesn't pan out, if Ace Bailey turns out to be a Hall of Famer, I won't kill him. You know what I mean, as it pertains to the 76ers, because I know what they were thinking during this time, and I will remind everybody, like, hey, that day, it looked kind of crazy to take Ace. So that's the truth, man. The Nets look a little crazy to me with all the stuff that they did with their five first-round picks. Not the combination of players that I would have put together with 5 first-round picks, but I thought that they addressed a lot of ball movement, and we'll see if any of these picks pan out. I think that the Nets were intentional on just finding players that can move the ball around, and maybe 2 of them pan out, they're happy. But I don't think they expect all of them will, and I think that's a terrible way to draft. I'm poised to think that the Raptors will not regret taking Colin Murray-Boyles, even though it seems like they will because they pass on Kama Malawatch. But Colin Murray-Boyles provides a certain length and strength to the size and switchability of a team that already has Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes. So when I think about those 3 players trying to be on the floor at the same time, I realize that they're going to get a lot of stops. I would have taken Kama Malawatch, but Colin Murray-Boyles, they got a lot of size there. And so they got to try to make it make sense. Probably move in R.J. Barrett, probably move in a couple of guys. But overall, based on what they drafted last year and based on what they have right now, I really like their forward position, their wing position entirely. It's a lot of size there. I think they're going to shock some people. The Raptors could potentially be a play-in tournament team if it all comes together because they got a lot of stuff. And it's defensive. And so, yeah, I just think that a lot of people are down on Colin Murray-Boyles' pick. But if you just, like, get it out your mind that they could have taken Kama Malawatch, and you look at the player they actually got, they got one of the best defenders in the draft. So secretly, I think the Raptors could be one of those picks that people look up and say, you know what, I can't even see Colin not being on this team. I could totally see that being a thing. It's probably looking kind of crazy today. The Grizzlies are crazy. No, not the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are great. They took Cedric Howard. It's the Blazers are crazy. Blazers are absolutely insane. Good luck to them on their 5th center, Young Hansen. From what I understand, it's actually Hansen Young. I don't know. I don't think it really matters when you speak in Chinese. I don't think it does. It's Young Hansen or Hansen Young. I've heard both. I don't know. But the point is, I like the player, but I hate reaching for him at 16. I mean, I loathe reaching for him at 16. I think it's the worst thing you could possibly do. That's one of the worst draft picks I've ever seen in my entire life, truthfully. Bottom 3 draft pick I've ever seen in my life. So that's what I think of Hudson Young. I think he's going to be fantastic as a player, but his upside on draft day wasn't anywhere near the 16th overall pick, not even close. What else? What else am I looking at? Yeah, man, I love what the Lakers did. Obviously, I love what my team did. We got one of my favorite players in the entire draft on my squad, and we had the 55th pick when we woke up this morning and walked away with the 36th pick and a player that came in the first round that should have went in the first round. Talk about an A+. My Lakers got an A+ on the draft, if you ask me. And I ain't just saying that because I'm a Laker fan. I think that is amazing value. So, yeah, those are the winners for me, the winners and losers. Some of these other teams, I have to do more thinking to really tell you how I feel about what they did. I hated the Hugo Gonzalez draft pick for the Celtics. Not with Liam McNeely on the board of your 3-point shooting team. I just hated that pick. I didn't think that was great. Hugo could have very easily fell to the second round for me. I like what the Magic did. I really like what the Magic did. Getting Noah Penda, walking out there with Jace Richardson, they get an A for me. They did really good. Kings, like I said, I love what they did. Even though most people hate what they did, I do not. I thought the Kings were fantastic in getting the 2 players that they ultimately walked away with. And so that's just my like loose takeaway as I just look at some of the stuff that happened here. That's my loose takeaway. I think most teams walk away feeling confident that they're going to be all right. You know what I mean? I think some of these teams are more confident than they probably should be. But overall, I think you find probably more winners than losers in this draft after all. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I appreciate everybody for allowing me to go through this entire process, my mock draft, and all these different conversations. And now we get into Summer League and the off season. Hopefully it gives us some fun stuff. We got so many trades over the last couple of weeks. I don't know how many we're going to get going forward, especially if we start getting into July and August. It could probably slow down a little bit after Summer League. But before you know it, we'll be back in October, ready for a season that's going to be really strange because the Eastern Conference is full of holes and the Western Conference is full of people who are trying to contend whether they're capable of it or not. That's exactly the type of season we're in for. It's going to be a wild one, but I still expect early, before anything happens, that the OKC Thunder are going to end next year as the NBA champions. I'm already predicting that because I just don't think most teams are really prepared to overcome what it is that they actually are. And they've shown us they can win a championship. And I think teams are going to be worse next year for the most part than they were last year. I think the field is worse. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.